Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video I'd like to discuss the poll which has Tories and their client media all excited. It's an opinion poll which, against the general trend of both itself and other pollsters, has narrowed Labour's lead to 10 points. I'm going to explain exactly what happened and why the results do not mean what the Tories hope and think it does. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel. So, a couple of things when it comes to polls like this, I try to explain. First, look at the trends, not an individual snapshot. Certainly don't look at the poll that tells you what you think you want to know. This result, for example, is a clear outlier. Second, not all pollsters are as competent as one another. Some are shockingly bad, although I don't regard Opinium as one of the bad ones. But nor is it one of the top two, which I always say is YouGov and Ipsos Mori. But in this specific case, it's also worth noting that Opinium changed their methodology for this latest poll. So it's not even comparable with previous ones. Obviously, if you change your model, you will change the results. So why did Opinium change their model, and was it a good idea? Well, the problem that all pollsters have to wrestle with is what to do about don't knows. So you're trying to come up with like which party's got which share of the vote. Don't knows don't mean won't vote. They're just not saying who they'll vote for at this time. Some of them may well be people who will indeed stay at home at the next election. It's easy to imagine, for example, that some who traditionally vote Conservative will not vote at the next election at all because they cannot bring themselves to support the Conservatives right now. But at the same time, they won't feel comfortable supporting anyone else, and they can't be asked to go down and just spoil their ballot paper. But it's equally possible to imagine some Conservative voters who are saying don't know right now because they're absolutely appalled at what their party's doing for whatever reason, but come the election, they will still believe it's better than Labour. Yes, these people exist, and they'll hold their nose to vote Tory. But the flip side's also the case. There's going to be a huge level of tactical voting against the Tories at the next election. But many of those who will tactically vote may well be undecided at the moment. They may even not know which party they should back to vote tactically just yet, waiting to see what the credible alternative in their constituency is come election time. What Opinium have done, they've noted that a disproportionate number of 2019 Conservative voters are now saying don't know. They've made an assumption for their new model. Now, assumptions are an important part of mathematical modelling, by the way. Nothing wrong with the concept. Given that mathematical models like this are about the future, in this case, about the future voting intentions of people, there's obviously unknown data, so you have to make assumptions to make it work. But there has to be a good reason for the assumption. Not only is there no good reason for this assumption, it flies in the face of basic political sense. It is reasonable to suppose that a disproportionate number of Conservative voters will stay at home at the next election or vote for someone else. Our national infrastructure is crumbling. The rivers and seas are full of shit. The party is engaging with culture wars which aren't even on strictly party lines. Like, take the attacks on 20-mile-an-hour zones, for example. Conservative councils support these schemes. The Conservative leadership is attacking its own politicians and supporters. It's found a wedge issue that isn't a wedge issue. Of course, loads are going to rethink their vote. Of course they are. For traditional low-tax small state Tories, the current Tory government is making their noisiest policies about interfering in people's lives. And we have the highest tax burden for generations. It is insane to rework your model on the basis that 2019 Conservative voters who are currently saying don't know won't disproportionately use their vote differently at the next election. Then a pollster from Survation made the point that they have specifically polled the don't knows to ask them, okay, so you don't know, but if you were to use your vote, would you be prepared to vote for this particular party or not? So they did that for the four main parties in England, and they found that most would actually vote Labour. But I mean, if you look at the results, though, those four main parties, all get decent shares. There's not huge disparities between them. Mind you, even this has to be taken with a pinch of salt. What this poll doesn't tell you and can't possibly tell you is how strongly each of those don't knows feels. Because some of those don't knows will vote. They'll feel strongly enough to vote for someone. Some of them won't, and they will stay at home. It might be that those who are prepared to vote Conservative feel more strongly than the others. Come election time, they go out, hold their nose to vote for a Tory government they don't like in order to resist a change of government that they think will be worse. But it might be that those who would vote for other parties, in particular those who can best challenge the Tory in their constituency, would feel more strongly that they want a change of government because the current state of the country simply cannot continue. Can't really say. But there is absolutely not a shred of evidence that this disproportionate number of former Conservative voting don't knows will actually rock up and vote Tory at the election. Some will, many will vote for someone else, and many of them will stay at home. There's no justification for amplifying those numbers artificially just because you don't seem to think that a lot of 2019 Conservative voters have a reason to be annoyed with the party right now, because that just flies in the face of like logic. It's insane. I've not seen anyone, whether working from a different polling company or just entirely independent, who thinks there's any sound basis for this. Yes, the don't knows do cause a problem for pollsters. You can't just assume that in roughly even proportionate numbers they'll vote for the different parties. It's reasonable to want to try and address this issue, but this is a very clumsy way of increasing the number of potential voters into the mix without any good reason for allocating that vote. What Opinium have done here, basically, is they've said to former Conservative voters who are now saying they don't know who they'd vote for, oh, we think you're actually going to vote Tory, so we'll just put your answer down as Tory. But the bottom line is, it doesn't seem that other pollsters will adopt this idea, not least the very top ones. As such, either Opinion will refine their model for next time, and this will just end up being an obvious aberration on their trend line, or they'll keep it and be seen as an outlier against all of the polls. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Hope you found the video interesting. If you did, please click the like button. And if you'd like to support the channel further, the join button for memberships. And until next time, I'll see you later.